Though the mother-in-law couldn't speak, the daughter-in-law could hear her thoughts. She heard her say she wanted a cotton duvet cover, so the daughter-in-law put down her orange, and went to buy a new one for her. But as soon as the mother-in-law lay down, she pulled out a few bloodstained silver needles from under her. The caregiver immediately accused her of abusing the elderly. The husband rushed over and slapped her without hesitation, saying she was heartless. The woman thought it was just a misunderstanding. But before the surgery, the mother-in-law said she wanted to see the old photo album at home. When the woman brought it and handed it to the caregiver, she was shocked to find it was stuffed with photos of her abusing the mother-in-law. The caregiver lashed out at her cruelty. Onlookers were outraged. Someone shoved her to the ground. She hit her head and died on the spot. Even in her final moments, she never understood why the mother-in-law who once treated her like a daughter would push her to such a fate. But when she opened her eyes again, she was back on the day the mother-in-law was hospitalized. The very day she first heard her thoughts, the mother-in-law once again said she wanted a cotton duvet cover. The woman immediately realized she still wanted to frame her, so she glanced at her husband who was on the phone. Knowing he'd get restless if he was without it for 5 minutes, she casually hid the charger. Sure enough, the dead phone made him anxious. He insisted they go home to get it, but just then the mother-in-law stopped them and wrote down her desire for a new duvet cover. Seeing that, the husband told his mom to make do today and change it tomorrow, but the mother-in-law insisted she wanted it changed today, so the woman suggested buying a new one from the nearby mall. At that moment the caregiver took the mother-in-law for a pre-op check. The woman then deliberately changed the cover slowly. While her husband grew increasingly frustrated from having no phone, he finally pushed her aside and did it himself. Just then the mother-in-law returned from her check, saw the cover was changed, immediately lay down and began her act. She cried out in pain, then pulled out a few bloodied silver needles. The caregiver again accused them of abuse. The mother-in-law even pointed the needles at her daughter-in-law. The woman hadn't expected, even in a second chance, the mother-in-law would still try to ruin her, but this time she was prepared. She grabbed her husband and anxiously asked why there were needles in the cover. After all, only he and his mother had touched it. How could she have done it? Hearing this, the crowd turned on the husband. He was speechless and turned to his mom for help, but in his panic, he accidentally knocked her head into the bedrail. The crowd saw this and was certain he had harmed his own mother. They swarmed him, held him down, and handed him to the police. The mother-in-law panicked. She never expected her plan to fail and dragged her son down too. She quickly wrote a note, begging her daughter-in-law to help explain that her son didn't hurt her. The woman took the note, glanced at it, then tore it to shreds. The mother-in-law became so agitated, her condition worsened. The doctor decided to proceed with surgery early. Before entering the operating room, she pleaded with her thoughts, saying if she could just take a photo with her late husband, she would die without regret. The woman just sneered coldly, went home and searched for the album. The photos were the same as the previous life, all evidence of her abuse, but this time, she found a hidden folder, and when she saw what was inside, she finally had the upper hand.